Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get the title block set up. This semester, I'm doing it a little bit different than I've done it ever before in past semesters. In past semesters, so in AutoCAD, and I'm going to show this, but in AutoCAD, there are two different drawing spaces, like visual spaces. There is model space, which has a big black background, and it's like infinite. And then there's paper space. Paper space has your title block format and is generally, my whole professional career, I've never either worked for a client or for a company that didn't plot or print to a PDF or create a PDF, a drawing from model space. Everybody does it from paper space. Again, that's going to make more sense here in a few minutes. In past semesters, I know this is an intro class, but in past semesters, we basically just set up like a fake title block, like we just kind of create a line drawing of a title block in model space, and then do all of our drawings right there. And then because we're plotting, we're like forcing the program to, print to a PDF or plot to a PDF out of model space. It's kind of like you have to set all these different settings to go and plot to a PDF, and it has created just issues every semester for everybody, the entire AutoCAD unit. Trying to get these settings to plot correctly. There's usually, like, most people get it fine, and then there's like 2 or 3 people every single semester, every class, and they could be doing great in AutoCAD and they still have problems plotting. So I've revamped the curriculum a little bit this semester. And actually it's pretty cool because the way that I'm going to show you how to do it is going to be easier, one, to plot everything, or to print. Plot is the correct term in AutoCAD, but easier to create your PDFs week to week. And it's also what when you go out there into the professional world, this is what you're going to see if you're working in AutoCAD. You're going to be drawing in model space with the big black background, and then you're going to be printing or plotting from paper space. So I will go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to create the title block. Share my screen. Okay, so when you open up AutoCAD, it's probably going to look a little bit different than this. You're going to have probably a format like this. You're not going to have a bunch of tiles in here because you haven't ever opened it before. These are things that I've been working on recently. Just to explain this a little bit, generally speaking, there's only 9. These are like recent documents. Like, this is like my recent documents folder. I have it set up to show 50 documents, like the 50 most recent documents. By default, there's only 9, and I have 8 documents pinned that are always here. So when it was only 9, I only had 1 recent document that I would have been able to have in my recents. So I increased this to 50. You can do that in your options, but for this semester, that's probably not going to be an issue for you. Anyways, first things first, come up where the start button is up here. Like, this is a little kind of like your system tray or your taskbar down at the bottom of your Windows screen. This will have, if you have a bunch of drawings open, there's going to be little tabs in here, like maybe in your Chrome browser, your internet browser, you'll have like different internet tabs open. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create a new drawing or open up a new, drawing tab. And very likely yours is going to show up something like this. You're not going to have, it's going to be like a big black background. It may or may not have a grid. If it doesn't, and yours may be a little bit different color. I have some of this customized, like the little purple crosshairs that you see, yours are going to be a little bit different. And I'll show you how to customize those. I like to keep mine purple. Sometimes I'm drawing on a white picture that I import, and it's just, for me, it's nice to have the off color crosshair. I've also increased the size of the little box in the middle, the pick box in the middle. Anyways, so yours will show up most likely just a big black background, probably with a grid. First thing I'd like you to do is type in properties. You don't have to click anywhere, just type it in. And actually I can I've got a pretty wide screen, so here, let me do something here. Oh, it's too big. Anyways, so I'm going to snap this little guy. This, you can make this little really big or really small. I like to keep it at just one line. Works for me. So you could type it in here, but you don't need to. You could just type it anywhere, and you always have access to the keyboard unless you're inside of a command. But if you're not in a command, you can always click escape and make sure you're not in one. Or don't have a tool open, I guess, would be a better way to put it. And you can just type in properties, enter, and it will bring up this little properties window. Likely yours will just show up floating in space. I like to dock mine on the right side of my screen. You can dock it on the left, you can dock it on the right, but I like to just always keep this open. So that's what I want you to do first. Next, down here at the bottom, most of the time when you install AutoCAD, it'll default to like two layouts. The layouts are what I was referring to as paper space. So right now we're in model space. You can see that's highlighted, and it's just this big background. You can draw stuff on it. So this is where we're going to be doing our drawings, this black background. In layout, this is what I'm talking about as, it's called paper space. That's what they call it, paper space. This page setup manager will likely not pop up. I have mine set to pop up. So if it doesn't pop up, that's okay. Go ahead and right click on layout 2 and just go ahead and delete it. We don't need layout 2. We just want layout 1 for now. So you can click between, just left click between paper space and model space. And when I first started using CAD, when I took CAD 154, they didn't explain the difference between model space and paper space. We just stayed in model space. Paper space looks a little freaky. You're like, you see this just weird blank piece of paper with this creepy grid right in the middle of it. But really, it's actually pretty simple and straightforward to use. So I'm going to show you how to set it up. So where it says layout 1, first, let's right click and just rename that. And I'm going to call it sheet 1. So and then you can click out. Now right click sheet 1, and we're going to click page setup manager. So this is where we're going to actually create our template for plotting that we're going to use for the rest of for the next 5 weeks in AutoCAD. So don't worry about what's highlighted here. If it says sheet 1 because you named it sheet 1, if you haven't renamed it yet, it'll say template 1 or whatever it was before. Go ahead and click new. Title this hack title block, and go ahead and click OK. Again, don't worry about. You could just use sheet 1 as your whatever's highlighted is fine. Click OK. Now it will bring up, once you click OK, it's going to bring up your printing options or your plotting options. They call it page setup, but this is what, when you go to, you're going to type in plot, or you can also click the little plot button when you're done with the drawing. This is the screen that's going to come up. So right now what we're doing is in page setup, you don't have any options because what we're doing is setting up a new template. If the template is hack title block. For printer plotter, use this drop down and click Microsoft Print to PDF. Then what we're going to need to do, and this is what was a frustrating thing in previous semesters, we would have to set these settings every single time, and there was actually more to it than what I'm going to show you how to do, because when you're plotting with a layout, you don't have to change all these options. You just keep it as layout, and then once you select hack title block, there's going to be a drop down right here. You're just going to select hack title block, and all of these options are going to come in automatically. So the first thing is, so down in drawing orientation, we have it set to landscape, but you see it's like vertical. So when you actually plot this and you open up the PDF, it's going to be plotted correctly, but it's going to be rotated 90 degrees. You'll lose points if you submit something that's rotated 90 degrees. So in order to do that, we got to change this from the 8.5 on top to the 8.5 on the side. So we can go into properties, and make sure you're already in Microsoft Print to PDF. Go into Properties, and then don't change and like keep it, don't change anything. Click Custom Properties, and in Custom Properties, change this to Landscape. Go ahead and click OK, and then click OK again. When it asks you to save this file, just say yes. Just say good. Just go ahead and click OK. Now it will change your Microsoft Print to PDF, and it'll have .pc3 after it. What that means is it's AutoCAD denoting that it's like a custom print file that it's referencing whenever you click your hack title block. So now we can see our landscape. Now we have it plotted. The drawing orientation is plotting correctly. We have 11 on top, 8.5 on the side, and we're going to have to come back in here, but for now, don't touch any other settings. Just go ahead and click OK. Now we see we have sheet 1, which is what's down here, and then we have our hack title block. So just go ahead and click OK. Oh, and this is the checkbox. I have this checked. Anytime that I'm opening a new drawing and there's like a blank layout or like a blank template, the page setup manager pops up automatically. So if yours did not, it's because generally this is turned off by default. That's why we had to right click and open up page setup manager. So just go ahead and click close. Now, sometimes depending on how everything was set when it was installed, and it's nothing like your own fault, sometimes this little dotted line is, so like the white space you're seeing here is 8.5 by 11, this perfect white space. This little dot, these are like print margins. Depending on like your settings in your computer and how AutoCAD is set, and I have never been able to figure out how to actually move these margins actually, but mine is set at 1/4 of an inch. So when I'm thinking of like a coordinate plane, 0, 0 on this page, like if I'm typing in 0, 0, as like, rise over run, 0, 0 is not down on the bottom point of this page. 0, 0 is actually at like 0.25, 0.25, like 0.25 over, 0.25 up. So that's what we're looking at here. If we think of like the left vertical side of the page and the bottom horizontal side as, your X and Y axis, this box here, this dotted box, the margins are starting at 0.25 and 0.25. That's what that is. So first thing we're going to do, just highlight this, and to do that, you click anywhere on the page, and you can see, and I'm not holding and clicking. If I hold and click, it's going to do this weird thing. So what I want to do is just click one time, and then if you drag to the left, it's going to turn green, and if you pull to the right, it's going to turn blue. And I'm going to explain this more during the Lab 1 video, but to select something, if you drag to the right, you have to encompass the entire line or box or whatever it is that you want to encompass. So like if I just kind of come over the corner of this, if I just hover over the corner of this and click OK with a right drag, it's not going to select it. Conversely, if we click and pull to the left, this green rectangle, you don't have to encompass the entire line or the entire box, like you do with the right drag. So remember, right drag, you have to do the whole thing to select it. I'm clicking escape to deselect, just so you know. So to select this, usually I would just kind of just click it like this, do it like a left drag it over the corner. It selects the entire box, and we're going to go ahead and delete that. So now we just have an 8.5, 11 piece of paper. And the easiest way to do this is click up here, and this is called the ribbon. So we're going to click the rectangle button. And now when we drag it back onto the page, I haven't clicked a point on the page yet. You see you have your crosshairs, and it's asking to specify the first point. And then you have a little box that's got different numbers in it. So I can just click and click to draw a rectangle. But what we're going to do here is, and you can also, I'm not going to go that yet. In Lab 1, once we get to Lab 1, I'll teach you some hot commands. So you don't have to click up in the ribbon. You can just type it on your keyboard and get rectangle. You don't have to type the whole word. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, And my first point, remember our 0, 0 is already at a 1/4 inch inset on this page, right? So my 0, 0, like if I type 0, 0, enter, my rectangle is going to start a 1/4 of an inch inset into the page, which is where the print markers are. So I'm going to get my rectangle tool. Remember, you just click up here. And instead of just clicking somewhere, I'm going to specify 0.25, 0.25. And remember, our 0, 0 is already at 0.25. So I'm starting this a 1/2 inch inset in this page. And we want to come up to like right around here. And if you see on my screen, I have my rectangle dimensions are showing. If yours aren't showing, I will teach you how to set that up, but we're not there yet. So we want to have this second point at 10 inches. So the horizontal dimension first, so 10, and then comma, and then this is going to be 7.5. So now this rectangle that we just created is perfectly positioned a 1/2 inch in from every side of the paper. And this is going to be our title block, or this is going to be our page border. Now we're going to take another rectangle, and instead of specifying a point now, like a rise over run point, like a coordinate point, we're just going to come down here and click this end point. Now I'm going to teach you more about setting these points up, but if yours is not snapping like it should be down here there's all these little icons. This right here, this object snap icon, you can click this button and turn on. I mean, you have this video, so pause it and make sure all the ones that I have checked here are checked. So endpoint, midpoint, center, node, quadrant, intersection, extension, perpendicular, tangent, apparent intersection, and parallel. Make sure all of those are checked. Then go ahead and click Object Snap Settings, and make sure that both Object Snap and Object Snap Tracking are both checked. Because if Object Snap is not checked, you're not going to be able to snap to anything. You're just going to go in here, Object Snap, make sure that's check marked. Alternatively, you can click this box as well. Anyway, so snap to the bottom right corner. And now we're making another rectangle. So it's asking for your horizontal dimension first. And we're going to type 2, enter, and then 0.5, enter. Oh. I'm sorry about that. Hit your rectangle tool. I missed a step. So before we enter a dimension here, we're going to actually, we're not entering like a coordinate point like we did before with the 10, 7.5. Here we want to enter a dimension. So down here in your bar, it's giving you instructions, and that's what's cool about this bar. So you don't actually have to like type the instructions in here. You can just type it anywhere. But it's asking for, it's giving you 3 different options. So you have area, dimensions, and rotation. And you can see that the A, the D, and the R are all highlighted here. And what that means is if I type D, enter for dimensions, now it's asking for length. So we're going to type 2, enter for the length. Then it prompts you for a width, and we're going to say 0.5, enter. So now we have a 2-inch long by 0.5 high rectangle. And at this point, it's going to ask you to snap it to a point. So wherever we start this rectangle is kind of like the new 0, 0 mark for, it's going to ask you to snap to a quadrant. So here, obviously, we're going to snap it up this direction. I'm just going to click 1 time left, like left click 1 time inside this rectangle. And now we have a small rectangle down here in the bottom right corner. So we're going to go ahead and do that exact same thing again. Grab your rectangle tool, just click once. Then click here. Now type D, enter for dimensions, and it's going to be 2, enter, 0.2, enter. So what we just said there is 2-inch long by 0.2 inch tall rectangle. And again, we have to snap it to the quadrant that we want. We're going to snap it right up here to the top left quadrant. And we're going to do that one more time. Rectangle, this corner here, D, enter, 2, enter, 0.2, enter. And then again, you'll just have to click, just like that. So now you can see we kind of have our title block coming into play here. And the last thing we have to do to create our basic template is add some text. And if you need to pan around, you see me panning around like this. You can pan like this, you can zoom in, zoom out. What I'm doing is to pan, I'm holding down the middle mouse wheel, and I can pan, you see the little hand, it grabs it, and then I can move my mouse around. Otherwise, if I don't have the middle mouse wheel click, that allows me to move my cursor. So that's holding the middle mouse wheel. This is not holding the middle mouse wheel. So if I want to zoom in on something, I can kind of pan over to it like that, and then scroll in or scroll out, and that's how I'm going to get closer to something, zoom in on something. So now we need to add some text. Up here in the ribbon, you have your draw toolbar, which we already used for our rectangle. We have our modify toolbar, which we're going to learn a lot of skills in there, or a lot of tools in there. Right now, we're looking at our annotation toolbar. And in text, click the drop down. We're going to click multi-line text. And before we click a base point is your first click somewhere, basically. So we're going to specify our first corner similar to how we drew a rectangle. Just click your first corner, then it's going to drag this out. I'm just clicking. I'm not holding the button down. I just clicked once, and then I can click down here, the bottom right of this box here. And from here, we can type in your name. So I'll type in Wyatt McMartin. Then just click anywhere to get out, or you can, you want to click anywhere, and to make sure that you're not still in a command, just click escape. I usually just click it a couple times. It's kind of a habit at this point. So now we have to do our justification, which means we want to justify it to be middle center. So we want it to be in the middle vertically, and then also centered horizontally in this box. So go ahead and double click on the text. Control A to highlight the whole thing. Now up here, your ribbon has changed. So you were in home, and this is where your annotation was. When you double click on text, it'll open up this like text editor. It's like a special highlighted one, and its text editor is not always there. It's only there when you double click on text. And once all the text is highlighted, change this value here, this annotated value, to 0.12. And then we're going to click in the justification. We're going to click justification, and we're going to make that middle center. Now you notice it is not in the center of this box. What we can do here is, with properties open, with this selected, remember you can just do a left drag, or if you do a right drag, you're going to have to drag across the entire text. Make sure this is selected. You'll have these little blue dots, and you'll have this little, I call these handles, but you can grab this little, or pick points. You can grab a pick point, and you can be moving it around. Make sure it's selected. Then over in your properties toolbar, and you will have to have the properties open to do this. If you don't yet, if you skip that step, remember, type in properties, enter, and this window will open. And the way properties works is, I'm just going to click escape just as a side note. The way properties works is, like right now, there's nothing selected. It says no selection up here. As soon as I select a line, now this rectangle is considered a polyline. I'm going to go into those details in Lab 1 lecture. But now it's saying, okay, this is a polyline, and it's giving you all the information about that line. So when I select this text, it's saying M text, multi-line text, and it's giving us all the information about the text. So in order to have more control over this, in this columns row right here, just click in this box here, and then it's going to give you this option, this little window. Open that window and click no columns. Okay. When you do that, now you have these little points that you can click and drag. So I'm just going to click once and release, and And then I'm going to snap that point. You can't really tell that you're holding it other than like you clicked on it and you know that you're holding it. But I'm just going to click it to the top left corner of the larger, the 2-inch by 0.5-inch rectangle. And then this bottom right snap point, I'm going to snap that to the bottom right. And now I have a perfectly centered text. Now what I could do here is I'm going to copy this text. So alternatively, you can do your multi-line text again and just do the exact same thing, point to point, change your column to none. What else you can do is use the copy tool. So I have my name. I am going to come up to the modify toolbar in your home tab, click copy. And now it's going to ask you for a base point. So this is the point at which you're going to start your copy. You're going to tell the computer, copy it from this point to another point. So I'm going to take from this bottom left corner, I'm going to click that as my base point. And now I can drag, I'm just copying that text somewhere else. I can copy it all over the place with this base point. And I'm just, to do all those copies, I just kept clicking. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to copy. Click your base point. And now I'm just going to move that right to here. Now, to get out of this, just click escape. And that goes away. Now, because I dropped my base point at the bottom left corner here of this middle rectangle, I can just take this top pick point here, click on it once, snap it to the top left of this rectangle, and then my text is perfectly centered the way I want it. It's going to maintain that middle center justification. Go ahead and double click and highlight the text there. And this is going to be CAD all caps space 154. We're going to do the same thing. Go ahead and copy that. Click your base point, move that up. And this is going to be how about, let's do it this way. Lab X, sheet X. And this is your basic template. So the reason we're saying Lab X Sheet X is because we're going to save this and then we're going to make a copy of it and it's going to be Lab 1 Sheet 1. Then every week every drawing that you're going to create, just go ahead and make a copy of the title block, rename, or edit the text on the sheet, and that will be it. That will be that. So there we go. So we are almost done. So now we have our basic template in Paperspace set up. So the next thing we're going to do, and I'm going to talk more about blocks later, but what I want you to do for now is click to the top left above and left of the page boundary. Remember, I'm not holding. If I hold, it's going to be something like this. We don't want that. So I'm going to click to the top left, and I'm going to then click to the bottom right. So I'm going to just encompass this, everything that we've just drawn. Now it's all selected, and I'm going to type in block, B-L-O-C-K. What we're doing is we're creating a block, and it makes it more difficult to edit on accident. So it's like basically it makes it so you can't just like delete a line on accident or overlap it. It's going to make it easier to deal with when you're drawing things and manipulating things around. So this block is going to be title block. And just go ahead and click OK. We don't need to get into any of the block settings. So now what we have, if we just click anywhere on this, we click anywhere on this line, anywhere on this, anything we just drew, it selects everything at once. You don't have to do your left drag or your right drag or whatever. You could just click anywhere on there. And this is a block. Now to edit this block week to week, you can select it. You just right click anywhere. You can right click it over here, block editor, and it'll open up. It'll kind of change the background color. It'll open this, and then you can edit your text. And this makes it so that it's just a little bit harder to like accidentally edit text or anything like that. As you're just clicking through, you accidentally delete the text or something. That's just not going to happen. So the last thing we have to do in Paperspace is I want you to create a viewport, and this is going to make sense in just a minute here. So anywhere in here, you don't have to click anywhere. Make sure you click escape a couple times, make sure you don't have a command active. Then type in viewport, enter. And it's going to bring up this little menu of all these different options. We're going to create a single viewport. Click OK. Make sure this is 2D, current. This is just like the basic settings. Click OK. Now specify first corner. Same deal as making a rectangle, but we're not going to have to type in any dimensions. We're just going to go ahead and click first top left corner. Then we're going to click the bottom right corner of our page border, just like that. And now, remember the original, we had that rectangle with the grid that we deleted. Now we have that back, and it's perfectly positioned inside our page border. So what we want to do with that, go ahead and double click inside of it. And be a little careful with this. Just double click and don't do anything, and just wait until you listen to what I have to say here. So double click. It's going to make that bold. If you try to pan your screen now, if you hold down the middle mouse wheel, now you're not going to be panning like you were before when you could pan this with the whole Paperspace. When you double click inside your viewport, you're only panning the model space that we're looking at inside the viewport. So that's what the viewport does. The viewport allows you to see into model space. So we're going to draw in model space, and then you're going to plot it inside the viewport in Paperspace. And that's going to make a lot of sense. It's very, very simple to do once this is all set up, and we're very close. So we're not going to worry about anything right now. Double click inside. Don't worry about where you are in here. Double click inside. Once this is bold, click F7 once, and it's going to turn that grid off, so you're not going to see the grid. And then you can do one of two things. You can type PS enter, and that's gonna get you out. That's gonna bring you back into Paperspace. Or alternatively, you can click anywhere outside of the viewport. Click somewhere out here. Now, this was a problem for me before I fully understood how all this worked. Before I knew the PS enter command. So, like, say you're zoomed in. So, right, I'm just zooming in. I'm zooming into the viewport. So if I double click, now I'm stuck in here. I can't get out. I can't click out. So if this ever happens to you, if you're stuck in the viewport, instead of panning all over the place, go ahead and type PS enter, and then you can scroll out and you get out of the viewport. So that's how we do that. So Paperspace is pretty much all set up at this point. So now what we want to do is left click over in model space. Make sure that you're not inside your viewport. Just double click out or type PS enter to get it back into Paperspace. So it should not be bold like this. Click model. So now we want to kind of have an idea of where we are, right, in model space, where we're actually drawing. Because if I'm drawing something out here, I'm probably not going to see this. I'm not going to see that in the viewport. So if I double clicked in here and I just zoomed out, so I kind of have an idea. So I drew this circle in model space way up here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that circle. So what I want you to do here is create a rectangle. Click your rectangle tool and type 0, 0, enter. 0, 0, enter. And then type D, enter for dimensions. And you're going to make the second point is going to be the full size of the paper. So it's going to be 11, 8.5. So remember, we're saying 11 horizontal distance, 8.5 vertical distance. Enter. Oh, where'd it go? Try that again. Get my rectangle tool. First point is 0, 0. Enter. D, enter. 11, 8.5. It's weird. Bear with me here. I was doing coordinate points, comma. No, so you want to type in 11, enter, 8.5, enter. Sorry about that. Now it looks really small because I was zoomed out quite a ways. So just zoom in, and then we have the same situation. So I haven't clicked again after I entered those dimensions. And remember, that was the 11, enter, 8.5, enter, not comma, because we're not doing coordinate points for the second point. We will have to click into the top right quadrant if we're thinking of the 0, 0 point as where we started that rectangle. So just to do that one more time without making a mistake here, we're going to get our rectangle tool. And we're going to type 0, 0, enter. D, enter for dimensions. And then we're going to type 11, enter, 8.5, enter. And then go ahead and click once. And now we have our rectangle placed. Next, come down here. There's like these little dots. Click on the little drop down and click Snap Settings. And in here, our grid, we want our grid to be on. Our grid spacing, we can do 0.1. Click Tab, and then your X and Y spacing will both be 0.1. You want a major line every 5 lines. So that's basically every half an inch. Keep grid snap, rectangular snap, uncheck display grid beyond limits, and click OK. So by default, your limits are like 12 by 8 or 12 by 9 or something like that. So just don't worry about that for now. Come back to this little drop down in the little dots, click Snap Settings. Now under polar tracking, you want polar tracking to be on. That allows you to snap at increment angles, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Turn polar tracking on, and your increment angle should be 15. I like 15, it's versatile, and it's not like too much. Some people have it like every degree, and it's just too much. It's too much to do it that way. So go ahead and click 15, polar tracking's on. Click OK. Now what that does, if I come up and grab my line tool up here, I'm just going to click anywhere. And that little green line that shows up, it actually just snaps perfectly every 15 degrees. So that's what we just turned on there, polar tracking. Come back into your settings. Now object snap. So we set this up earlier. Just make sure that both object snap and tracking are both on. And then you can pause the video, make sure these are the boxes that are checked. Geometric center, we don't really have to worry about that. Insertion, we don't worry about that. Nearest has its uses, but overall it's really annoying. So don't worry about nearest. I may ask you to turn it on throughout the course, just to perform a single operation, and then we'll turn it off. Now, don't worry about anything in 3D Object Snap. We do not do 3D in AutoCAD, so don't worry about that. For dynamic input, make sure enable pointer. Make sure these 4 boxes are checked, and under pointer input, bring this over here. Make sure you're at polar formatting and absolute coordinates. So that's always referencing the actual 0 point on your drawing as 0. Not like, because when you're clicking all over the place, if you make a line over here, relative means that like wherever you last clicked is the 0 point. So we're always going to be absolute coordinate. Everything is from absolute 0 on the coordinate plane. Go ahead and click OK. Don't worry about quick properties. You don't need quick properties. Selection cycling. In here, this may be unchecked for you. Go ahead and click Allow Selection Cycling. And display Selection Cycling list box. Click, make sure that's checked. Just these are the settings that you want. Click OK. Now what that is if you have a line and a rectangle on top of each other, for example, like this. So now we have a line and a rectangle. So if I click on the rectangle, it's going to select it. If I click on the line, it's going to select it. if I click here where they overlap, I can select it. What we just turned on is this little box that pops up. So that allows you to either select the polyline, which is the rectangle, or just the normal line. So that's why we just turned that on. And to delete stuff, you just select it and then click the delete button on your keyboard. Last thing we're going to do in here, we're going to set limits. So limits is kind of what we used in previous semesters in order to plot, but to ensure that we have like a nice space that we know always is going to be where we're going to be drawing in model space, we're going to set some limits. So we're going to type in limits, L-I-M-I-T-S, enter. And it's going to ask you for the lower left corner. So here we're going to do the coordinate point. So this is going to be 0, 0, enter. In the upper right, we want this to be the full page, right? So the full page is 11, 8.5, enter. So now you see the grid just disappeared outside of our border. And this line has nothing to do with it, right? This line has nothing to do with it. What we just did was we changed our limits, and because we have this unchecked, this display grid beyond limits. So if I check this and display the grid beyond the limits, now the grid is infinite. If I come into snap settings and I do not display grid beyond limits, now we see we only have our grid showing up here, and we have a bold line every ½ inch, and then we have these smaller little boxes, these smaller like little faded lines every 0.1 inches. And there is an option actually, if you turn this snap mode on right here, this little like these like dots. So this turns your grid on and off. This right here makes it so that you can actually, like if I have a line, you can actually like snap to your grid. So right now we have it set to only snap to the bold lines. What we can do is come into our snap settings and snap to every 0.1. So now if I open up a line tool, now we just snap to all these like perfect points on the grid. Personally, I keep that off all the time. I will, for the first lab, I do kind of have you turn it on for a second, but generally speaking, we always dropped it off. So last thing to finish setting the title block, and then I promise we are done with this, and you'll never have to worry about any of this stuff again, because it's all going to be perfectly set up. And when you go to make your PDFs, you're just going to type plot and then click hack title block, boom, and it's going to be perfect. So left click on sheet 1. So now we see, like, yours might not be there. Yours might be way off somewhere else in the distance. So what we can do is double click inside your viewport, so it's bold. Now double click the middle mouse wheel. Now double clicking the middle mouse wheel will zoom you to what's called extents. So if I have like a big, huge circle here, and I'm looking right here, if I double click the middle mouse wheel, it's going to zoom so that this circle, like everything that's in model space, is going to fit in this page. So what we want to do, this is all set up. We have this is our perfect piece of paper set up here. What we want to do is we want to aim our viewport to be like perfectly just inside this, right? Because we're like, this page represents the border of this white space here. So we want to be like just inside it. We don't really want to see this border. That's just for our reference to show us where we're drawing in model space. So down here in this little menu, you have this decimal number. You can click on that decimal number, and we're just going to click 1:1, a 1:1 ratio, because everything we're going to draw is going to be full scale, and it's going to fit perfectly on an 8.5 11 piece of paper. We're going to click 1:1. Now it's going to zoom in. So don't scroll, just pan. So click your middle mouse button, and now we can see. So we can move this around. This is still 1:1. If I zoom out, that 1:1 goes away. It changes. So make sure you're at 1:1. Pan, don't zoom in and out, and just see. I'm kind of where this is not an exact science, but see, we're gonna kind of bring this up right into the corner and just drag it up a little bit, kind of to where like you can't see that line anymore anywhere around the border, because we want to like offset it perfectly. So like, as close as you can. So if I'm just dragging this up, so say it's even with the block, so I'm gonna drag it up to kind of like be right in the corner. So like right now it's even with the viewport. I'm just gonna drag it up to the left just a little bit more. Click OK. Or I'm sorry, click out there. And now anything we draw in model space inside this circle is going to show up. Boom. So now we have it set up so that anytime we draw anything in that area with inset, 0.5 inches or something like that, is going to show up. And if we want to delete something from here, you can't. So you can't highlight it from here. You have to double click in, then you can highlight and delete. So what we're going to do now is we are inside the viewport. We're still at 1:1. Everything's positioned the way we want. We're going to click this lock button. Now, if I draw something in model space, draw a circle, go back over to paper space. Now we have a circle. So if I double click in here and I zoom in and out, now we're locked. Now you're not going to screw up your 1:1 ratio. Now when you pan, you're only panning paper space. You're not panning model space. Remember, if this is unlocked, you can pan inside model space. We don't want to do that. Once we have it set up, you never want to have to think about it again. So when you're inside your viewport, make sure it says 1:1. Make sure this is locked. Click out of the viewport. And everything is set up. So when you're outside your viewport, double click the middle mouse wheel, and now it'll zoom you in. One thing, this is extra. It's a tiny little thing, but I like it personally. I think it makes it easier to look at. When you're all the way zoomed in, when you double click the middle mouse wheel. What I like to do here is I'm not inside my viewport. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? In order to do this, we need another layer here. So if you click dimensions, so like everything we're drawing, we're not talking about layers right now. We're going to put something on another layer that happens automatically. So I'm just explaining this. Everything we're drawing is on this like 0 layer, which is where we want it to be. There is another layer that happens automatically when you enter a dimension. So if I click this dimension button and I just dimension anything, click escape to get out of the dimension tool. Now, when I come up here, there's this other layer called def points. Def points is just like part of the software. It's like a placeholder. And nothing on def points gets printed onto your PDF. Nothing on def points gets plotted. So the dimension is actually on layer 0 because we're going to plot that. If we were going to print this, we would want the dimension on there. But even when I delete the dimension, now forever, there's a def points layer. Def points is cool because you can have some geometry, like reference geometry, that doesn't actually get printed onto the PDF, but you can keep it in the drawing without deleting it. So what I like to do is create a rectangle. And remember, 0, 0 is right here. I want the rectangle to be like down here. So we're going to do -0.25, comma, -0.25, enter. And now we see we started a rectangle down at this bottom corner. And we want to end the rectangle up in here in this top. So that's going to be, we're going to type D, enter for dimensions, and 11, enter, 8.5, enter. And then you're going to have the option to, pick your quadrant. We want the top right quadrant. And then you're going to click. You don't have to do the selection tool, like the left or the right. You can just click on that rectangle. And then up here in this layer, you put that on the def points layer. And that just makes sure that when you print, you're not going to have like a super thin line like right on the edge of your paper. It probably wouldn't show up, but it could show up depending on how you plot. So now when you double click the middle mouse wheel, Now the only reason we did that was because now instead of being like a little bit more zoomed in, like it was like coming like right up to this line, I just think it looks better personally to like double click and you have like a nice like a wider border. You're not like so zoomed in. Now we're gonna test the plot. We're gonna test what it's gonna look like. And at some point, you can save this. You should have probably been saving it, but I should have said that earlier. But so where you want to save this, I'm just going to do Control S before we do the final step here. Go to your desktop or wherever your folder is. So mine is CAD 154. This is we're going to go into, I'm going to save it in the master, but you would do the student folder, whatever your folder is that I gave to you. Now, the old title block that I talked about in the intro video, you're just going to go ahead and click that once and save. You're going to just overwrite that file. Go ahead and save that. So now we have our CAD 154 title block. If we look in our folder, we have CAD 154. The title block is good to go, saved in there. And that's what you're going to use every time. So to make sure everything's printing properly, because the whole point in doing this was to make sure that we can take our drawings and print them onto a PDF. Right click on sheet 1. You can click plot. Alternatively, you can just type PLOT, enter. Now, remember, we've seen this before. All we have to do is click in the page setup. Now there's a drop down. Click hack title block. Boom, we have our Microsoft Print to PDF already selected, the PC3 file. This is rotated properly. We're printing our layout. Nothing else here needs to be changed. Before we plot though, click the preview button and just check. So it looks a little funky. And I knew that this was going to happen. So there's one more little step that we have to do. Remember I said we would have to go back into the page setup manager. So because of the way that dotted border, like the print margins are set up, we have to offset this by 0.25 and 0.25 so that it plots perfectly, so that the plot's perfectly centered on the page. And I will take off points if you plot like this. I want you to plot it centered perfectly in the page. So, oh yeah, to move this back down, there's this little handle here. You can just grab it, snap it back to the corner. Sometimes that happens when you do that preview. So just to make sure, so we just changed that plot setting in the individual plot. What we can do is actually come back, right click your sheet 1, come back into page setup manager, click your hack title block, modify, and you're going to change that right here, and then you'll never have to do it again. Preview, make sure it looks good. Click OK. Close. And now you're good forever. Now, and then you just click save and you're good to go. So I know that it was kind of a long one to get this set up, but I promise it's going to save a lot of heartache and headache over the next couple of weeks having this set up the real way. And it's good experience. I mean, it's an entry-level class, but this is the way that everybody does it. This is the way every single company I've ever worked for. I've been exposed to like 10 different companies. CAD, as just doing consulting, I've been exposed to like 10 different companies. CAD stuff up on top of a few companies that I worked for, before I had my business. And everybody has it set up in paper space and model space. So this is important to know. And like I said, anytime you're ever going to be using AutoCAD for a company, you will have something like this set up, and you're going to understand how to use the viewports and how to manipulate the plotting settings. All right, I'll see you in lab 1. Reach out if you have any questions on this. If you have any problems, feel free to reach out by email, and I'm happy to walk you through it. I'm also going to touch on it on our first class day as well.